Okay, nobody's waiting on me, right? Sorry, I was walking through the other room. Okay, what are we waiting for?
For the record button.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
Nope, you're fine.
Okay, nobody's waiting.
Okay. Hey, Karen, welcome.
Hi.
Okay, we're going to begin. Welcome, everyone. Glad you can make it wherever you are. Okay, in order to start, I have to read this paragraph at every meeting, so just bear with me for a minute while I read it again. I, Christy Jepson, the chair of the City of Saratoga Springs Library Board, hereby determine that conducting the library board meeting at an anchor location presents substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the anchor location. The World Health Organization, the President of the United States, the Governor of Utah, and the County Health Department have all recognized a global pandemic exists related to the new strain of the coronavirus, COVID-19. Due to the state of emergency caused by the global pandemic, I find that conducting a meeting at an anchor location under the current state of public health emergency constitutes a substantial risk to the health and safety of those who may be present at the location. This written declaration expires 30 days from the date signed. All right, now we can officially begin. We're going to call to order at 6:35 on this Tuesday, December 8th today. So let's go ahead and do roll call. I don't know if your screen looks like my screen, but anyway, I'm at the top, and then do you guys see that? And then we'll just go down. So Christy Jepson.
I don't know. I'm on the top on my screen, so I don't know who's next.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Oh, so Joy Bratton.
Karen Brown.
Brandy Miners.
And then we have guest Melissa, of course, with us. So thanks, Melissa, for being here and managing the meeting. Public comment. Do we have any?
As of right now, the library inbox is posted on the agenda, does not have any public comments. So we don't have anything to go over for that.
Okay, perfect. Approval of minutes from October 13th. Did everybody read those and approve them? Do we have a motion to approve them?
I'll motion.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Karen. And then let's, do we say our ayes on this one, Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved, and then we'll just go straight to number 5, 2021 holiday schedule.
I know it seems like we didn't get to this as early as last year. I'm scrolling down, it's on the agenda. With the way a lot of holidays fall next year, we don't actually need a lot of library closures. It was unusual. I had to have Jill and Carl double check me to make sure that I hadn't missed things. So we would be looking at closing January 1st for New Year's Eve, May 31st for Memorial Day, the 6th for Labor Day, the 11th of October for Columbus Day, which is the day that the city closes all offices and does their required mandatory annual training and everything that we need to train in annually. The early closure on Wednesday, November 24th before Thanksgiving, remaining closed Thanksgiving Day on the 25th and the 26th, the day after Thanksgiving. And then the 24th of December, 25th of December, and closing early on December 31st. If the board would like to see it, I do have the data that I can share with you on why we had proposed early closures on some holidays and the usage as we've tracked the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. It doesn't apply this year, but we close early on Halloween and New Year's Eve. So I do have those statistics if that's something you'd like to view.
What holidays are not on here in comparison to other years?
This year, Halloween,
Okay.
Veterans Day is one that the library is usually still open for. We remain open for Veterans Day, but City Hall closes. We take Christmas Eve off instead of Veterans Day because schools are open on Veterans Day. and it really confuses people when we're closed on a day that Alpine School District isn't. We're not closing early on Halloween according to this calendar. We also happened to have Columbus Day, Memorial Day, Labor Day. Oh, the July holidays, 4th of July and the 24th of July happened to fall on a Sunday this year. So neither of the holidays are in their schedule.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have questions or comments?
So it cut out for me while you were talking about the early closures. What was the information you were saying? So like the day before, there's less traffic or something?
Yes, and I have that data. I pulled it up. Let me
I
go ahead
believe you.
and share it with you guys. I track phone calls, how many people are walking in, all of that good stuff, so that we're making reasonable recommendations is what it comes down to. So for Halloween, we were open from 9 until 5. We only had 137 people come in that whole day. And you can see this column of data in the visitors, which while our numbers grew as our hours expanded and we were open more, COVID has really impacted the number of people walking in this year. We're using a lot more drive-up service. I'm sorry, that wasn't Halloween that I just showed you. That was the Wednesday before Thanksgiving was 137. Halloween was only 70 people that came all day. So those are the days that we proposed early closures so that staff on shift don't have to stay until 8 p.m. and can go spend those holiday evenings and activities with their families.
Awesome.
If the board is comfortable with the proposed holiday schedule, you would just need to make a first, second, and
Okay, do we have, if everybody agrees with the library holiday schedule, do we have a motion
I'll
to
motion.
approve it? Thanks, Joy.
I'll second the motion.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, and then roll call vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved. Perfect. It's hard via Zoom. All right. Number 6, 2021 library board meeting schedule.
Me again. That's the next page of the packet, of course. We traditionally do not meet in June because that's the week of Splash. So that week was left off the calendar. And then this year we had to cancel our November meeting because it covered the same day that it was election day and you can't have a public meeting at the time of election day. As of next year, this is what it looks like following our traditional schedule of the second Tuesday of the month at 6:30, unless the board would like to direct for a different date and time for future meetings.
So Melissa, are they supposed to say 2021 dates?
Yes, they are. So before I send you the final version of signatures, I will update to say 2021.
I don't want to repeat 2020. Thank you.
No way.
I understand that. And if you guys do approve with the date modifications to 2021, I will send the updated version out for Joy and Christy's signature.
Okay. Is everybody good?
Did you say that November is canceled?
It was this year.
Oh, okay.
Is everybody still good meeting Tuesdays at 6:30?
Yeah, I'm still good. I just have a question. We're most likely not going to have Splash this year. Are we still, not that we need to meet in June, but are you guys still going to do something for Splash in June, or what's going to go on for that?
I don't have an answer for that. Civic Events has been working really hard to come up with alternatives for all of their activities. So they did the drive-through Santa thing. They did the virtual concerts, etc. So I'm sure that they will, if there are still guidelines in place from the governor's office at that time, that we will be taking those into account and working with them. It may be that we do a pre-recorded science show or something like that, and work with them to do it as a virtual event like they've done for so many others.
Okay. And warmer months should be better as well for COVID as well. So we'll see in the future. Okay, but do we need to approve this one?
Yeah,
I motion.
thanks, Joy.
And I'll second the motion.
Thanks, Karen. Okay, roll call vote. Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Motion approved to, for the new 2021 board meeting schedule. So, okay, back to Melissa again for the director's report, financial statement, and COVID-19 impacts.
Okay, so the good news, we did get our financial statement this morning or this afternoon from the treasurer's office. So I am going to switch the screen for you and share that. So revenues are, of course, as expected, down this year because overdue fines are not currently accruing. Anything you see under fines is actually the cost of something that's been damaged or long overdue that someone's had to pay for either the damaged item or they're long overdue. So they're not actually accruing the 10 cents a day overdue fines still. The miscellaneous sales are library card sales for lost cards and or non-resident cards. So you'll see those revenues as well. And then the donations is anything that customers have printed and used our printers for. And because we just got that software up and working in October, we don't have a very good gauge of revenues from that yet because it's only been about 2 months. And
go back real quick. What's the difference between so budget is what, what's the difference in the budget and unearned in the
So
year to date?
budget is normally what we would earn in revenues in that whole year. The first column is year-to-date actual, which is what we have gotten, and then the unearned is the remaining amount. Usually our fines are around $10,000 a year by the end of the year. However, with COVID and the fact that people are only paying if they've lost or damaged an item, the overdue fines are not coming in.
So what were these paying for and what are we short now? Well, we're short almost 15,000, but how does that, or were you going to talk about how that impacts next?
So our revenues do not pay the costs of the library on an annual basis ever. You can see our anticipated revenues is the $16,000. Last year it was $20,000, but our annual operations is $539,000. So our revenue offsets some of our operational costs, but obviously not to a very large percentage.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Salaries and wages, we were given an additional full-time position for this budget year. However, we have not recruited or filled it and will not do so until we are able to resume in-person programming because the position is specifically for programming. And while we're doing everything remotely, we haven't been given the authorization to recruit and fill that. So we will have some additional salary savings from this year because this position started July 1st, but it's December 8th and we are not yet released from the governor for events. So we haven't filled it. The computers and maintenance is across the board, our regular fees. We did have the unexpected expense of having to repurchase our tablet for inventory wanding this year. However, it was still built into the budget to be able to do that. Our buildings maintenance has not been billed to our account specifically this year. So we still have $1,000 there. We also had some significant changes to the heating and air in the library itself, where they had to come through and they had to revamp ductwork and add thermostats, etc. Because with COVID and social distancing, we had spaces that while we had them available for staff to work in, they were unable to be occupied because they would hit temperatures of 85, 90 degrees in that workspace. And so social distancing while using that workspace was just not possible. There was about $10,000 in improvements made to the space this year so that we have 2 extra office spaces so that staff are not all in a workspace that's within 6 feet of each other. But rather than that going to the library's building maintenance line, we billed it to the city's building maintenance line, and that it is reimbursable because it's a COVID expense to make the space usable for us.
Is that going to be used after COVID as well? So those workspaces, which is awesome.
It's a permanent improvement. It just made the workspaces available for social distancing purposes because we have to keep staff 6 feet apart in addition to wearing masks. So,
Okay. All right. Well, it's good. That's positive for later on. So that's awesome.
we did enroll all of our clerks in a education/training opportunity, which I told you guys a few weeks ago. They are coming to completion of that in the next few weeks, and we'll all be getting a certificate to put into their files. I think they've all enjoyed it. It did use the budget really quickly, but it was a good use of their time during COVID and will help them better answer customers' questions about, oh, well, what should I read next?
What kind of training was it, Melissa? Like, who was it through?
So most of them attended a reader's advisory course. It was a 6-week course in adult literature specifically. However, there were a few that opted into library operations. So they got a general overview of policy reviews, financials, and things like that. It was more broad spectrum than the reader's advisory course. And then we had one that opted into a university level class for children's programming, specifically.
Is that
great.
Kathy?
Yes.
What was it called that she took again?
I don't remember the exact name of it, but it was a university level class in children's programming.
That's great.
So it was a good use of our funding this year, where conferences may or may not happen. And usually that budget goes entirely to conferences. So it gave all of our clerks the opportunity to enhance their skills.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
great.
Our office supplies and miscellaneous has been very well expended this year, but that also includes rehabbing that additional office space that we were given access to so that we were social distancing staff. We had to get some cabinetry, a computer, 3 bookshelves, and a desk for in that space. So those are reimbursable through the COVID CARES Act and have been tracked to do that. But it came out of this account initially, which shows about a $9,000 expenditure in addition to the regular funds. Professional and contract is right on track. Work purchases, we always go over based on requests and popular releases. You'll see that digital purchases have done the same thing. In fact, I finished the December order of digital purchases today, and just purchasing 1 copy for every 5 holds that we have of Saratoga Springs residents has depleted that fund for the year already. So it was something I did draw attention to in our budget requests for next year. Our programming account has only spent 30% of the funding for this year. We're setting aside $2,500 to $3,000 for summer reading and have another $711 left. Given that we had so many programs in person not happening this year, we've allocated some additional funds to the summer reading. And then that is our finance update. Is there any questions I can answer for you?
I just had a question about the fines. When do you think the fine schedule will go back, or will we keep no fines? I know we kind of talked about this a while ago.
The initial recommendation was when the state returned to green and had the color coding of yellow, orange, green, red, that when we resumed all normal operations at green, they would begin assessing overdue fines again. Without those same metrics in place by the state anymore, until we reach a level where we're able to resume in-person programming, I'm not comfortable saying, let's go to the council and ask them to reinstate fines. They had agreed to waive them as long as we were dealing with COVID. And I think that this is still a situation where we're dealing with COVID and the increased numbers.
Yeah.
Can they see, maybe it can be used for positive kind of to see that the fines we'll be fine without the fines, basically is what I'm trying to get to. Is that possible to see that maybe, that this time period is a good way to see that?
yes, it's a good example of that for people. I will say with customers, we have seen that they care less about returning their overdue items that have holds on them, which to the librarian and me frustrates me because I have 7 other people waiting for that book.
Okay.
But that's a personal problem, and I know that.
Is there a way for a patron to see that there's other people waiting for that?
They do. Their notice tells them that the item is due and would not renew because there's a hold on it.
Well, to see how many sometimes, because I know it on the electronic, the digital books, it shows me how many people are waiting.
And if you log into your account online, it will show you how many people are waiting.
Oh, but they have to look online. Okay, because that would be nice in the email. Huh?
It won't tell you who's waiting, but it'll tell
Of
you.
course not who, but how many.
Mhm.
Okay, interesting. Thank you.
So do you think that's a big problem or just a small problem?
I think it's a frustrating problem to myself and a few of my staff members who are mailing overdue letters for these items that people have kept 30 days overdue. And then we reorder it, and then 4 days later, the person drops it off. So we spent money to reorder it because it was 30 days overdue, and then it finally came back. So we're frustrated by spending money on things that people are holding on to. And it's really increased. We're spending about $300 or $400 a month on purchasing replacement titles from overdues that just haven't been returned but have holds.
Did we? Is it professional enough to do something creative? Maybe to send a card with a sad kitten on it, some kind of randomness to remind people others are waiting for your hold.
So we have a staff person dedicated to calling these customers and leaving a very kind voicemail and or speaking to them and saying, hey, we don't know if you're aware you have the following titles, or you have some titles that are overdue that are on hold for other customers. We're hoping you can bring them back. And
does that help?
With about 50% of them, yes. So 50% never make it to the 30 days because we've called on them. And we usually call between 7 and 28 days overdue, because at 30 days overdue, they're getting the mailed notice and the final email.
Because if I got a sad kitten in the mail, that might motivate me to find it.
It will, I say, take staff. I did the phone calls for an employee who was out 2 weeks ago. It took me about 4 hours to make it through.
Heavens, that's a lot of man.
Which is why we stopped calling on all of our overdues.
Yeah.
And with the number of overdues with holds on them, we've added back calling just on the overdues that have holds.
Okay. So I didn't get a phone call. Anyway, I had one I just found yesterday. Awesome.
Question. How are people not returning their books because of no fines, or because they're not leaving their houses as much? Like, how much does COVID impact? Like, if we had no fines later, like, would it be the same or would it be different?
Honestly, I think it would be the same. These people that we're calling on their overdues and that we're reminding people have hold on are the same people that we remind over and over and over again. They're the same people that they have 1 or 2 overdue books, but because our policy allows them to check out, they'll come in and they'll get another 15 while they have those overdue books and not bring those overdue books back, which is a personal pet peeve of mine.
However, it's because they lost it in their house. That's probably why.
Some of them, they're really reading it, like legitimately, and they'll say, yeah, I know, I'm trying to get through it. It comes down to basically societal respect or disrespect of other people's time and needs, in my opinion, nowadays, of I have it, I want to use it, let me finish using it before it goes to the next person. We've seen a shift of more me over the last 10 years. And it comes into play even with their library materials.
So would you not think about putting a hold on an account if a book was over 30 days or 21 days or something like that? Or do you not believe in that?
So once an item's 30 days overdue, it is actually billed the cost of the item to the account. So it's very rare that amount's going to be under $10. and $10 is the maximum amount of fines that customers can have.
Oh, gotcha.
But customers are very aware that I have these books that are 28 days overdue. I'm going to come into the library. I'm going to check out another 15 because I won't be able to come in for a while. And there are people who play that system.
Do they know and they do it?
Mhm.
So after how
Interesting.
many days are they not allowed to check out anymore?
So they're billed at 30 days for the item.
And so that at 29, they can get
They can
more
still-
books
Yes.
and they know. So
Which is
could we-
why I take the perspective of it's a very me situation for people.
I feel bad for having overdue books sometimes now, but I don't know if I go get 15 books, but if is there a way to fix that problem then? That we could, something that we could do for fines, or like the hold becomes like a sooner amount?
So the only possible option would be to disallow customers to check things out if they have anything overdue. The problem is that if they have something that's 1 day overdue, they would no longer be able to check anything out.
Yeah.
It would be
Or they
fielding-
could pay a fine to check it out?
Or no, or our software wouldn't do that because until an overdue item's returned, it doesn't actually approve the fine because it can continue to increase. So unless we were to say all items that are overdue will prevent customers from checking out, we can't completely fix the situation. If we were to implement something like that, it would be completely the opposite of every other library in Utah County, which has been one conversation we've struggled with internally as a staff as we've discussed it. And it would result in a lot of customer complaints because their items 1 day overdue. Now they have to go home and they get it before they can get new ones.
I think this is the first place I've been to that you can still get books with having an overdue item. Everywhere I've been before is you have an overdue item, you don't get any more.
Yeah, that's unfortunately been something I've struggled with the staff and with customers since I started here 7 years ago.
So
It's not something that they ever had in place. It's not something Lehigh or Eagle Mountain has in place.
what do you mean has in place? What do you mean that overdue, you're done? So what's your opinion?
I see both sides of the perspective. From the perspective of customer service, there are issues in both columns. There's the pros and the cons because the customer with the overdue item who has to leave to go get it to bring it back before they can get more is going to be upset. They're not going to be able to get more. They're going to be mad at staff for not making an exception to policy to just let them take more home right then because they're going to bring it back in the next 24 hours. And why does it really matter? Which is all conversations I have heard and had people have about overdues, even just kindly reminding them that, hey, you have an item, it was due 5 days ago. Did you bring it with you today? Oh, no, I didn't realize that. I forgot. And then there's the perspective of the customers who are waiting for that hold to come back are better served because they are not waiting as long. But it's a balancing act. And
I don't see the balance at all. I'm sorry.
I couldn't give a recommendation one way or the other.
I only see the good, and you have an overdue fine or overdue, not fine. You have it's overdue, you get no more. I think that would motivate people more than anything else. You're done.
But if the
So-
board institutes something like that, we would also be fielding probably 10 complaints a day regarding it.
So if you want to move to that, let us know. But I've always been, my libraries that I've gone to in the past, it's you're overdue, you don't get any more.
Mhm. And some of my staff are in support of that and some of them are not. So we're kind of a split team, which is why we've never made the recommendation to the board to modify the policy to that extreme.
But that also would get your books back sooner. Nothing motivates more than, and also you're not giving out medication here, you're giving out books. They can live without 1 day without having the books they want. So
I like your comparison, Joy.
this isn't I love libraries and I think they're amazing, but it's not life-saving. You're going to be okay for 1 day without the books you want. You can put them on hold. I like the idea, maybe put them on hold Pick them up tomorrow then, when you bring them back. That would
We'll
actually
still
motivate.
complain.
Boy, you should never be there the day before Christmas or the day before Thanksgiving or a holiday when people come in with library emergencies because they need a book that's on that holiday theme that day right now.
Why? Why? It's not life or death. Well, seriously, people have emergencies at the library with books?
They actually call it that sometimes. It gives me a good laugh.
I'm very confused now. I don't, I feel
Yeah, in my
unspecial.
line
I
of
don't
work,
have-
an emergency is something totally different than that.
Yes, and that's exactly.
I'm kind
Uh,
of jealous.
Any other questions on the financial statement?
No.
So to
No.
COVID-19 impacts, you guys, I made you all aware with the governor's update back, it's been a month ago now. Masks are required in the library. They are not allowing exceptions for medical exemptions or things like that. In city buildings, they are saying you have the alternative of using drive-up service and you should use drive-up service because for us to allow an exception for you wearing a mask endangers our staff, the other customers in the building at the time, et cetera, et cetera. So I have had that conversation with a number of customers who would like us to allow them in without masks. I've discussed it with the attorney and the city manager and city assistant manager, and the comfort level of making an exception for one person that endangers anyone else that happens to be there is not something that they're comfortable recommending at this time. So until the governor lifts the mask mandate that's required, it is required that all customers entering the library wear a mask and that they wear it properly, which has also resulted in some conversation of please pull your mask up over your nose and don't take it off once you're out of sight of the desk. But I think a lot of people have started to adjust to that. Other than that, we're maintaining all of our regular hours and operations, and staff is making it through the year 2020, just like our customers have.
How many people use the drive-up service still?
About a third of customers.
Oh,
So we have seen it. We have seen a decline in the number of cars using drive-up service on a daily basis because there's more people coming in the front door, but we still see about a third of them.
But that was awesome that you did that from the get-go. So
oh, absolutely.
mad props to you, Melissa, for that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. My staff was incredible. They really flew with changes quickly because they were
Yeah.
coming fast and furious during that beginning period.
They're awesome.
Any questions? Any more? Sorry, Melissa.
No, that's perfect. That's where I was going to go. So
Okay.
the meeting,
Any
Christy.
questions regarding the financial report or the COVID-19? Okay, besides we want it to be done. That's what we want to have happen. Our next meeting is Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. That's crazy to even say. And without any questions, can I get a motion to adjourn at 7:07 p.m.?
Hi, motion.
Thanks, Joy.
I'll second.
Thank you, Randy. All right, and then roll call vote. Aye.
Hi.
Bye.
Aye.
Perfect. Great. Meeting is adjourned.